Hi everyone that has joined today. If you don't know who I am Kat and I'm a huge fan of Criminal Minds, and today I'm going to be joined by Criminal Minds costume designer BJ Rogers. So thank you all for joining in and we'll get ready to go. There is a comment in the link in the comments that I've just posted. If everyone could check that out and join, that would be really awesome to help a Criminal Minds convention happen in Europe when the world sorts itself out. So if you could all just keep your eye out on that link and join it, that will be fab. And I just want to thank everyone for joining me today. And hopefully we'll be ready to go any minute now. So thank you all for joining. If you guys, we will be asking a lot of questions from the comments today. So any questions you have, please comment them and we will try to get through as many as we can. If you have any questions for myself, please ask them as well and I'll try and answer them. We have some questions picked out from people that have sent me over Twitter and Instagram, so I'll read a few of them out as well. And we will go from there. Just get ready to connect with that. Thank you for joining me today as well, everyone. I know it's different time zones everywhere for everyone, so I appreciate everyone tuning in from where they are tuning in from. We'll get ready to go any minute. Just waiting for BJ to connect and we're good to go. So like I said, if you guys check out the comment that is pinned, you can join a Facebook group that will help a Criminal Minds convention happen in Europe, and that would be fab. If you guys do have any questions, please just start asking them and we'll be ready to go any minute now. BJ, if you just accept the response I've just sent, you should be good to go. If we can see, let me see if it'll disappeared. There we go. Touching now. There we go. Hi.
Hello.
You might just want to turn your camera the other way and we'll be good.
Okay. I mean, this is going to be tough. I have questions, not questions, but answers to questions. And I can tell you, I'm not going to be able to read these sideways. But anyway, I don't know if you want to start with questions.
Yeah.
Or if you want me to start with some I have.
I've got a few written down here, so we can probably do them. Give me 1 second just to load this up. Okay, yeah, so if you guys do have questions you want to ask as well, comment them in and I can read some out as well as we go along. I've got a few selected here that people have asked me over the last few days. So to start with, how many costumes would you design for each episode?
We had, in the beginning, it was much bigger in terms of days because the script would be 5 or 7 days. So everybody needed a change, including the guest cast. I think the largest one I ever had was 162 costumes. And it was the one that Paget was introduced on. And I remember her calling me and I was shopping in Topanga by myself and I had 1,000 bags in my hand. And she said, look, I can only come tomorrow for a fitting. And I hadn't even begun to buy anything for her yet. So I remember falling to my knees on the ground and saying, you can't, I don't have anything. And fortunately, we had worked together on another TV show and she remembered me. So she was very gracious and said, not to worry, I have faith in you. And, you know, when she came, you know, I had clothes for her to try on, but I remember being devastated at that moment. That was a big episode.
Cool. Okay. What was your favourite outfit to design?
Uh, I had a lot of fun with the unsubs, I have to say, because I could go outside the box for them, even though I had a little more leeway with Garcia and Dr. Reed. So I had a lot of fun with the unsubs. I can't remember the actor's name, but he was in Dexter. And I put him in a little onesie with a clear raincoat and goggles and rain boots. And those I used to have a lot of fun with. But for our cast, I would say definitely JJ's wedding gown. I love doing that one. And when we did the episode for Garcia for her Dark Knight, her Dark Queen stuff, that was fun because that was really outside the box also. And Doctor Who, which recently Kirsten has been bringing Garcia back to life, sporting those outfits on her video. And I'm so happy when I see them. I'm like, yay!
Yeah, I loved JJ's wedding dress. That's one of my all-time favourite outfits from it as well. Like, it was just so beautiful and elegant. Like, you really did one on that one. Did the cast have much say in the outfits that they wore?
It's kind of a weird thing. I mean, yes and no. When we first started, no, everybody was really super great. And I remember like season 1 through 3, people would do the happy dance in their clothes. Even Mandy, when we used to do fittings. And I remember thinking, why didn't I film any of that? It was just such a sweet about it. You know, as we went on, like Matthew said, he didn't want Reed to wear anything with zippers. He felt it was too modern. And when I first started Dr. Reed out, the phone conversation I had with him was, you know, I feel like he doesn't really think about what he's putting on. He's just grabbing clothes and probably different socks and all of that. And Matthew was like, yeah, that sounds great. I love it. When he came to the fitting, he had different socks on. And I said, oh, that's cool that you did that. He goes, no, BJ, you don't get it. When you said that to me, he said, I do that. I was like, so it was kind of cool. We were on the same page. And the only thing I had thought about, and we were probably 8 episodes in, I had him wear the same tie all the time that made it look like it was his grandpa's tie or something. It was very wide and horrible. And I put it with everything he wore. And then gradually I started, you know, changing his look because everyone could identify his socks. So then I started making his pants a little bit longer. And, you know, he got a little more GQ. And in fact, GQ put him in their magazine for being one of the best dressed guys on TV. And he was very sweet. He sent me flowers when that happened.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and just did ask about his ties. And a lot of the ties he wore, the old vintage skinny ties, were my grandfather's. Since I've been in costumes, I always put in something of my grandmother's or my grandfather's on every show I've done.
That's really sweet. Okay. So other than JJ's wedding dress, what was your other favourite JJ outfit to dress her in? I mean, I have one, but what's yours?
What's yours?
Mine's the... Hi, Stella. She's wanting to play too. Mine is the hoodie with the blazer over the top.
Yeah, those
and
were definitely cute on her.
And the suede jacket that she always wore in the later seasons.
Yes, that was a big favorite for a lot of people. Yeah, I like those on her, but the picture that she had posted that you reposted yesterday with the purple, it's kind of a burgundy jacket really, with the black top underneath. For some reason, I loved that on her, but her body completely morphed while we were doing the show. And she became like a little hanger. So there was a point where I felt like everything I put on her looked great because she looked so amazing in it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, definitely.
But
Okay.
also the
Yeah.
Doctor Who outfit was good. I liked what I did for Reed, and I also liked what I did for Garcia. I
Yeah,
did
that was
it,
a really cool.
yeah, and she just had that on, so.
Definitely. Okay, let's just have a look here. So this is quite a long question, but it's a really good question at the same time. So it's
Okay.
quite a long one. What was the hardest challenge to overcome when thinking and designing outfits for each of the characters?
Um, okay. This is, of course, someone's calling. This is, sorry, that's what happens. Okay, so this is really my favorite part about what I do because somebody else asked me something very close to that. And I think what I love is the story that's behind the character. Because for me, that's how I build their closet and that's how I bring them. Oh, dear Lord. Bring them to life. Sorry.
You guys do have any questions, ask them in the
Sorry.
comments.
I didn't realize the phone that answered was down here. But anyway,
It's fine.
that's really how you build their closet and figure out who the character is. And that was the beauty of being able to be on that show for 15 seasons is I was able to arc all the characters and change them a little bit. Like in the beginning, and this plays into one of the questions someone asked me too. In the beginning, Penelope's outfits were very homespun. You know, like she was trying to fit in a little bit more, but didn't quite get it. Because the deal with the FBI was she was a hacker and they accepted her, and she was a little come as you are, which, you know, Kevin, her love interest, was also a little bit out there as well.
Yeah.
But, okay, wait, hold on. I want to, because I thought that was a good question. Um, she asked, and I think it was Tara who asked this. No, I'm lying. It was Grace Fan. But she asked how her aesthetic became a thing. And I'll never forget, Ed Bonero said to me when she was going on a date with Kevin, he said, "Oh, BJ, I can't wait to see what you're going to put her in, you know, because she's so crazy at work." And it was another fall to the ground moment that I was like, oh my gosh, that works tomorrow. And when I first started the show, I did not have the crew that I ended up having. It was myself and one other person.
Oh, wow.
So, and you know, we didn't have any socks. We didn't have I mean, there was nothing. And my prep time was very short on the show.
Yeah.
So I was having to go buy all those necessities as we went out. And, you know, Reed and Garcia were my favorite to dress because those two I could be the most creative with every week. And, you know, Garcia became the star of that. I had a dress form for Kirsten. So she didn't come to a lot of fittings, especially the last couple of years. I would use the dress form and then I would try and put it on her. I mean, sometimes I didn't. And sometimes it beautifully. Sometimes we had some crises that we had to quickly, you know, Jimmy rig or what have you. And she was really great about that. But it was really fun for me to keep her style going and keep her crazy. And the one thing, which was kind of the only thing I played into with her, was putting 3 rings on all the time. So that was like kind of her signature. And then I know at one point I was getting crazy and I was like, Kirsten, like, let's have it so she has rings on the inside of her fingers. So when she turns her hands and she's talking with her hands, Kirsten's like, yeah, that's a great idea, but how am I going to type? And I'm like, I forgot about that. But anyway, you know, clearly her and Reed, I had the most fun with. And, you know, the early seasons, I made a lot of Reed's clothes because I wanted them to look like they were old thrift shop stuff. So I would buy vintage fabric and make him shirts, and I even made him ties, and I made him trousers. And then I started doing some sweaters for him also. Obviously not as flamboyant as Garcia, but there you go.
That's really cool. Okay, this is sort of a fun question. If you could have portrayed any role on the show, who would you pick?
If I could what?
If you could play like anyone on the show, who would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, is it weird if I pick a guy? Is it weird if I say
No.
Hotch? I
Hmm.
really did like his character. So I would say that, or possibly Strauss to be head of the FBI,
Yeah,
just to boss them around a bit. But
that's a yeah. Okay, so this is a fun sort of question as well. Someone put, whose decision was it to put Prentice in the cowboy boots in the final episode?
in the mine. Paget, as an actor, like when we did fittings, if she hated something, she would say, like, no way. And I'm super judgmental. I'm far more critical than the actors.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
like, sometimes I would say, don't look, just take it off. My biggest line is, let me be your mirror. But yeah, I just thought it would be fun with that. I mean, we've seen a lot of different sides of Paget also because she came from a privileged family. So I
yeah,
started off with French cuffs, and she was dressing much better than anyone else. And someone asked about her boots. So those boots I paid like $800 for, I don't know, season 2 or 3. And back then they didn't give me caps on what I could spend, but somebody got like a little crazy about the price. My feeling is I'm still within my budget, which is important, but for
yeah,
me, I buy quality because it lasts longer, and
definitely.
boots are proof. Do you know what I mean? She wore them the
Yeah,
entire time. They weren't the only pair of boots I had. I had bought her a nice pair of Prada boots, and she had little flatty boots and everything else. But
yeah,
she loved those because she could stick her phone, her cigarettes, her lighter inside of them. So it was a place where she could carry things that were concealed. So that
yeah.
made it.
Cool. Okay, so I have a couple of questions. How did you get the role to work on Backfork?
How did I get the girls?
How did you get to work on Backfork with Josh and AJ?
Okay. Now I feel like, what? Okay. One more time, Kat.
How did you get the job to work on Backfork movie with Josh Stewart?
Oh, the stuff for back fork. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I have a huge amount of clothes myself. And that was really down and out. And there was not a lot of money. I mean, talk about doing that on a shoestring. So I did a little bit of shopping at very inexpensive stores, which I shall not name. AJ brought in a couple things for that also. All the actors did. It was actually that kind of movie. So all the ones that I fit here in LA, everybody had brought some of their own stuff. I took some stuff out of my kit, and we just made it work, because my stuff, I don't care in my kit if I wreck it or put holes in it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's for, and I have a huge kit and storage space. So
yeah,
yeah, so it was crazy. I was up at 4 a.m. every morning talking to Josh and going over everything for the day. And then the girl on set would kind of do whatever she wanted to do, and then I'd see dailies and I'd go crazy.
yeah,
So Josh had a little talk with her. And I mean, I get it. I'm not there. So it's kind of tough, but I wish I could have sent one of my people there. to watch them. But
Yeah.
I'm anal, so.
Someone did just comment, why did AJ not wear a lot of pants in it? Well, I think everyone enjoyed that in a way, didn't they?
Wait, why did she not wear
Why did she not wear was she only in like pants and not full on like bottoms or shorts? And
in the
someone just
movie?
asked, yeah,
They had no money. All the clothes were being repeated, and it's you want to show a different side,
yeah,
you know? I
definitely,
mean, how boring would that have been if she looked like JJ? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it
yeah,
was an opportunity to just show another side of her.
definitely. It's a really good movie as well. If anyone hasn't seen that, check out Back Fork. It's written, produced, and directed by Josh Stewart, and AJ is one of the main actors in it, along with Josh. Another question I have, which I've completely just gone out of my head. Oh, there is. What was AJ like as a director? And getting
Oh,
to work with her on that side.
she was unbelievable. She was so amazing. And it's funny because before we went down the season before, I knew she was going to direct one. And I remember saying to her, "Are you nervous?" And she's like, "Not at all." She said, "This is really what I want to do." And she was unbelievable. It was so, I hate using this term, but I've got this, but she completely did. She was such a pro and so wonderful. She was dreamy. I would love to work with her again on something that she was directing. It was great.
That should happen. That definitely should happen. Okay,
Exactly.
so yeah. So a couple of people have asked this and I've seen it in a lot of comments as well. Have you got any fun stories from set? No, none of us know.
Oh my gosh.
That you
Well,
can share.
my ultimate answer to that is absolutely. Can I think of any right now? Absolutely not. Uh, but somebody did just ask about Thomas. So let me just say this. I just spoke to Thomas last week, and he's well. He's having his best life with Hazel. I'm sure a lot of you follow them on Insta. And he's doing great and having a good time. And I actually missed his character when he
Yeah,
went. Even though to me he was my absolute, boring outfit because it was always suits and ties. But I missed the character and what he as an actor brought to the show. And I feel bad for the actor that came in after him
yeah,
because he felt really bad. And I just felt like it's hard when a show's been on for a long time for someone to get in the huddle. I had a lot of questions about Rachel and Jean Triplehorn and Hewitt. And the thing is, Rachel was actually great, even though she sort of looked like, you know,
yeah.
because
It was a hard situation, definitely.
it was. And I feel like the only real person, and I love Jean Triplehorn. She was like a
She
sweetheart
was
to me.
she was one of
She,
my favourites, was Jean. She was one of my
she,
favourites.
she was great, but who really fit in was Lewis. I
Yes.
fit in every way, and she really added something that who knew was missing,
Yeah.
and I think at the end, the group that we ended up having was really terrific. I mean, Shamar was great too, but he was tired of breaking down doors. Haha. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's still what.
Something he still does weekly.
Exactly. But I think it was a really good group at the end.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so someone has just asked, did you design outfits for the kids as well that appeared on the show?
For the regular kids,
In
or
general, I think it's
I did
any.
okay. So when JJ first had the baby, I designed a ton of like a little leather jacket and all these silly little things that I don't know for some reason. But I did not for any of Daniel's kids, but I used to for other kids that went through. I would make t-shirts, or I'd make little shirts. I often made pajamas. For a show the pace that was, I actually designed a lot of things that people would have no idea, other than like
Yeah.
weird episodes of weird things, like when Maddie directed The Tall Man and stuff like that, and the circus. That was one of my favorite episodes, designing that circus stuff and finding old pieces and new pieces and making tennis shoes that I put on huge platforms. I loved that circus show. I got the wigs for that, and
Yeah.
everything. I love collaborating with Matthew because I love to be super creative and crazy, and I mean, even sometimes he would be like, whoa, I wanted to have a cat in
Yeah.
the room of the woman who was the medical examiner. I put cat earrings, a cat, ME top, everything were cats. And I'm like, how about if we do a stuffed cat in here? He was like, BJ. but
That's not creepy at all.
it's fun when you can do that on a show that actually is serious and dark.
Yeah.
Have a few spots of brightness. And one of the questions I got was, when I put them all together, the team. And yes, I always try to do coordinating colors. I would either do a palette,
Yeah.
or so when they did the profile and you scanned everybody, that it would be easy on your eye. Obviously, Garcia was not that person. And
Yeah.
she wasn't that person because she was always my ray of sunlight in all of that darkness. That was the bright spot, because she was coming up with the answers for them.
Yeah.
So, that's why she got a little crazier as we went on. So, yeah.
So a few people are asking if you are making any more the Wheels Up patches anytime soon.
Yes, there have been some that are made. They one of the kids is doing it on the Twitter site. So if people DM there, then hopefully
Is that the CM costumes one?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll link that after for everybody as well.
And I can check on that, because I know there were patches made, but I don't know if they got picked up or where it was in terms of, before we all had to stay home and wear masks. So that I don't know.
Okay, so someone else asked, what's your all-time favorite episode if you do watch any of them?
Oh my gosh, do I watch any of them? I just cleaned out a cupboard of mine because I used to take the dailies home every night and watch them. I mean, I could do wallpaper with them.
That'd be pretty cool.
My favorite. I like one that Ed wrote that Frankie Muniz was in, because we didn't start at the round table, and someone had asked this question to Harry, but it was prior to Harry's arrival. And the network didn't like that we weren't starting at the round table. And we started out in the field, which I thought was kind of cool. And I remember I did a bunch of crazy costumes for that one. And then we had one years ago. I don't remember the title. Bobby Roth was the director, and we were in this nightclub, and they gave me like the best girls and bodies to dress and everything else. And then I was so furious because they shot everyone from the waist up. So,
I actually watched the one with Frankie Muniz in yesterday. Like, the beginning of that episode is like, especially when you've seen like the crime itself and then them just showing up, like, it's a really good, it was a nice change for that. Like, I've been rewatching it from the beginning, so I've finished season 3, but yeah, I've been watching all the old seasons again, so it's fun to rewatch them and remember stuff you couldn't remember, and then like the outfits of the time as well, from the early 2000s to now. Like, that's crazy in itself.
Yeah.
Did
Yes.
Go on.
I apologize. Because now I'm reading some of the questions. I can't
Go
read
for
all,
it.
obviously. I'm not a multitasker. Someone asked about masks. Somebody else had asked me if I would design some masks. There's a chance I may. What was the other thing I saw? Yes, the actors got to keep their clothes. Not all of them. And I had to write down everything they wanted and send it to ABC to get their approval. And it was really like they said they could have one outfit. So I love them at ABC, but they got rid of almost all of, I say my clothes, I'm very possessive of them, but they got rid of almost everything. So
God, that's crazy.
I know
That's a lot of clothes.
some of them got more than full outfits. I mean, we were having to lock the doors a little bit, but whatever. It is.
Yeah.
It is. So yes, some of them got outfits.
Okay, I'm just going to read through a few of these quotes. Guys, if you do have any questions, please just comment them and we will go through them. If you have any questions for me, feel free to ask them as well. I will answer them.
Sorry. One other thing, somebody asked about Reed not wearing a tie after he went to prison. And yes, that was a conscious decision. And I actually believe it was Breen who was one of our producers and had written that episode. And I got a call saying, do you mind if Matthew doesn't wear a tie? And I think actually Matthew might have called me and said, what do you think? Kind of cool. Can we, whatever. So he didn't wear a tie. And then we had a couple of episodes where he didn't wear a tie. And then he wore a tie. He didn't wear a tie. And then I said, I really want to go back to wearing a tie. So he did, because Matthew took his ties off a couple times, and I'm very strict. So I went after him. So anyway, we made a deal that he would then wear his ties again, which I appreciated.
Definitely. Okay, someone asked, are you still in touch with any of the cast?
Yes, I do. I spoke to Thomas, Matthew, and Kirsten just last week. Maybe Kirsten was the week before. It's when you did the Harry interview.
Yeah.
She was super sweet and generous for my birthday. She donated money to a dog rescue, to a girl, Sabrina, who used to be our medic on the show. And Matthew actually called yesterday, and I missed his message. So I left him one today. So yeah, I speak to a few of them still.
That's good.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say, I guess I can say this if I don't say who, but one of them is preparing to do something that I'm going to be a part of. So I'm speaking also.
Okay, that's cool. I'm intrigued to hear about that. Okay, someone has asked, who was the Jokers on set?
The Jokers on set?
Yeah.
Definitely Goobler. He's good for a laugh. So was Daniel. I would say Daniel and Goobler. Joe a little bit too. They all had a really sweet side, and everybody really got along well on that show. So it was a nice ambiance for everyone.
Yeah.
But not pranksters, not total pranksters. Like George Clooney is a total prankster. When you work with him, he does super crazy stuff, but not like just fun with one another.
Okay, I don't know if I'm just going to say this as couple because I don't think someone's put, what couple did you enjoy most on the show? If you can read that one.
I can. I would say probably Will. Was that his name? Did Josh play Will? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will
Yeah.
and JJ. I found them to be very unlikely when the romance first started. I was like, what? But yeah, I really enjoyed Josh's person.
Definitely.
What episodes made you cry? The ones where they looked bad.
Is that like the earlier day ones then? Like when it's like the 2005? Some of the outfit, like I was watching season one and I was like,
oh, some
like
of them
what is that?
look too, and I'm like, some people are meant to look bad. Some of my favorite costumes were some that were super, made me cringe, that were ugly when I did them. But I think that's like when you look around, real people, do you know what I mean? Their hems are
Yeah,
wrong, pants are too short, they're wearing something too tight, it's too big. It's not tailored to them. And I really
yeah,
like to tailor clothes to bodies because one size does not fit all.
everyone,
So,
yeah. Especially if you're different heights and waists and like I'm super short, so I struggle trying to find good fashion things to wear.
yeah, well, one of the things, they never looked bad. Whoever that is, I love you deeply, truly, madly. Um, One of the things, gosh, sorry, I lost the plot with that. I don't know what one of the things are. Okay,
Okay.
now. Oh, I just want to say this for another question. So somebody asked, was there significance in costumes? And to me, my answer is yes, absolutely, when done right. When we first started the show, nobody knew what an unsub was. So we had all these actors coming in that would kind of whisper and say, what's an unsub? And making someone feel like they're a killer can be a pretty powerful thing. And
Yeah,
a lot of killers weren't blatant killers, obviously. A lot of them needed, pedophilers needed to look like they blended in, et cetera, et cetera. But so, yeah, there's a lot of intention that goes into all of that, where the sleeve length is, where the pant length is. And the other thing that I used to do, and I did this early on when Mandy still was on the show, Maddie has a photographic memory. That's a real thing. And so I would take a belt that I had bought for Mandy and I would buy a second one and I would put it on the killer. Or I would put it on one of the detectives to see if, he was on his game and if he had
yeah,
noticed it. We did a scene in a church, and it's when I had Matthew wearing cardigans that were shawl collars, and I stole one of his cardis and put it on this little old lady that was in the church, and he was the one doing the scene with her, and he never said a word to me, and I was like, I got you.
played him well. Okay, someone has where is it?
I
What
think it was,
inspired you to become a costume designer?
how'd I become a costume designer?
Yeah,
A lot of hard work and abuse along the way. My family, a large part of my family was in the business. And when I was young, I started out, I did some acting when I was young. And I went to school because I knew I always liked clothes. And my mom said when I was little, if I had a spot on me or I got dirty, if I couldn't, before I could change my own clothes, I would ask her to
yeah.
please change my clothes because I was dirty. And my mom has pictures of me when I'm like 5 and 6 pointing to my kid friends, telling them what to wear. So part of it might just be the bossiness in me, but I went to school for design, and then I decided, I don't know if I want to do it. I did retail for a while and decided, no, thank you. And I actually, it's not my proudest moment, but I went away on a holiday to Tahiti and never went back to Saks. And then someone called me to do a commercial. And I was just super fortunate because I'd been on a lot of sets with family members, what have you, that people would
Yeah,
call me and say, hey, you want to pick rags for this? Blah, blah, blah. So that's how I started. I started out doing commercials, and I did a ton of music videos. So that's it. And the first show I did, I got into the union. So, and I got in as a supervisor. So I didn't start at the bottom in terms of when I got into the union, which is kind of the big deal for everybody because, you know, you want to
Yeah,
work on a union show.
definitely. Okay, someone's asked, what was it like working with Padgett and AJ?
They're both lovely creatures. Uh, they're both easygoing. I mean, I do. I feel very, you know, I'm fond of those ladies. I just think that they're really sweet. They're not demanding. They're just really lovely people. And we're always kind and we just always had fun, you know?
Yeah.
So they were great.
Okay, someone's asked, what were the music videos that you worked on?
Oh, Lord. Uh, I did quite a few, I did quite a few for Jefferson Starship, which I don't know if anybody even remembers who they are. Rod Stewart, prior to him doing elevator music. Oh my gosh. It was like seriously 100 years ago. Who I don't know. I don't even, you know, the thing that's weird, like, I don't even have resumes for that kind of stuff. And my
Yeah.
resume has been super weak because I was very blessed that I would go from show to show because someone had heard something about me. And like when I look at my IMDb, there's so little that I worked on that's on there. And some of the
Yeah.
stuff that's there is not even correct. So I keep saying during the quarantine, maybe I should fix that. But
Just go on and
yeah,
edit it.
yeah,
Okay,
no idea.
so this is a good question. Did
Oh,
you design the outfit Henry wore for Halloween when he dressed up as Reed?
yes. Yeah, yeah. And I felt very fortunate to find a bag that was quasi Reed. Yeah.
And so little.
He was so tiny then. I have a photograph of Maddie standing next to him when, you know, he was such a tiny little squirt then. He's so cute.
Yeah,
AJ was fortunate to be able to have her kids play her kids on the show.
definitely. They're really cute.
Yeah, they're adorable.
Okay, what else have we got here? Yeah, someone that just put Criminal Minds Convention in the UK Island. If you check the comment that I've pinned, you can join the group on there to help that happen. Okay, any more questions? If anyone has any questions for me as well, please just comment them and I'll ask them. Let's have a look here.
Oh, and also someone asked about the numbers on Garcia's sweaters and when that started happening. And I believe it was season 7. It was something I just started doing for myself. Again, as a game, you know, sometimes you just need to amuse yourself. So
Yeah,
on the back of her sweater, I put a 7. And then the following year, the last outfit of the last season, I did an 8. And I remember saying to Glenn for season 15, I said, part of me, I want to do like a big the end on the back of her sweater. And Glenny's so sweet. He's like, beach. Like, is it going to be big? Are we going to see it? And I thought, okay, I didn't want to freak him out. So I thought, okay.
yeah,
So that's why I just put the little hearts and then a number 15. But I remember seeing on one of the platforms, Twitter, somebody was like, oh, now I have to go back and watch them. There's a number 15 on the back of her sweater.
Okay,
Like when Shamar left, I did a sweater for her that I called, I had a tendency to name them. And this one was Cry Me a River. And with a dark sweater and there was a heart and I had teardrops running down the front of it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, someone
Very
has asked,
good
where's
now.
Stella?
Oh, Stella's curled up in a little ball.
There she is. There
There's
she is. Oh, she's so cute. She's so cute. Okay, someone has asked, did AJ and Padgett ever wear the same clothes? Because that, I think, has been noticed a few times.
No, somebody asked that. No, they never did. Occasionally, if I were in a tight spot, I would steal something from someone to put on a guest cast, but it would be something that I consider to be a blank, which a blank is like something that you wouldn't notice, like a white blouse or a pair of khakis, even though nobody
Yeah,
wore khakis. Um, but do you know what I mean? Something like that. No,
yeah,
there's I put Prentice in a lot of Legence and Nile Lotan tops. And there's equipment that look like that. The problem is everybody knocks everybody off, but no, they did not share. I know somebody had sent me something saying, "Oh, you're so busted," but I didn't do that. So
we can hear her. Oh, okay, that's a good question. What was the most expensive outfit on the show?
definitely AJ's wet. Come here, AJ's, not AJ's, but JJ's. Stella Jean, come here. Her wedding dress. Because
Yeah,
after I designed it, the fabric and wedding dresses have to be cut on the bias, and I hired someone that just makes wedding dresses. She made mine for me, so I hired her to do it because cutting on the bias is very difficult. So that was the single most expensive thing.
okay, someone else has asked, what's your best memory from set?
My best memory, I would have to say, in the early days, uh, at lunch, I would go into Matthew's trailer and we would take a nap. We used to often take a nap together. That's one of my best memories. Sorry. That's only
It's
best for
fine.
me.
Okay, a couple of questions. What was AJJJ's favourite outfit to wear? Did she have anything she preferred wearing more than once?
Uh, well, they all repeated their pants, obviously. Because we were testing different jeans, she liked the low cut jeans. That was the only thing that she had asked me. Can you please keep me in the low cut jeans? And by low cut, I mean low rise.
Yeah. Okay, so this is actually a question from my friend. Hi, Meg. She's asked, were any outfits ruined or broken during filming, and how were they handled, if so?
Uh, there were a couple times that we had to chalk in. White is a difficult color, and I'm a big fan of white. And sometimes the makeup around the neck or whatever. So whomever's on set has chalk and chalks out what's going on. But yes, we had, this was kind of hideous, I have to say. We had an episode that wasn't so long ago with Daniel and Adam running, and the stunt guy, it's the one where the guy sticks his arm, the guy being Daniel, stuck his arm out and the guy ran into it, fell. The shirt split, and we had two shirts. I thought we had more than two shirts, to be honest. I was mortified to find out we had two, and where we were filming was very close to Topanga. So I ran over to Topanga because I happened to be on set that morning to make sure everything was okay. But stuff like that is mortifying. It's always better to have more. And, I'm not trying to cast the blame off me, because everything that goes wrong is me, because I'm the head of the department. But I had a supervisor who was kind of new to supervising, and she thought two would be fine. But when you do stunts, typically you have at least three or four of something, depending what's happening. Sometimes you have more.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that that was super scary when I heard the guy's shirt ripped. And we had one more, and we were drying it because it was super hot that day, and the guy was sweating, so we were trying to get the pit things out. And now the shirt was ripped, and it's like, okay, can we sew this with stitch witchery and get it so we have a second one? Will we not see it? Because action, you can get away with a lot more.
Yeah.
Like if you watch features, you'll see, like, sometimes someone starts out in boots. Can you even see me? I don't know where I am. Boots this high, and then the next scene when they're running, their boots are this high. So you can cheat a lot of stuff because you figure there's so much action going on, no one will notice. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I think it depends how good the show is.
Yeah, and how good the editing is.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I did not be on set every day when we first started. Again, I feel like easily the first 5 to 7 years, all I did was eat, breathe, and sleep. Because I took the dailies home and I watched the dailies when I got home at night, and I would be there in the morning to make sure everybody was okay and everything was okay and everybody was wearing everything right. Then I would go out and shop, do my fittings, and come back and stay on set. And I remember one of the directors, Guy B. Norman, it was 2 in the morning, and he's like, why are you still here? You need to leave. You need to go home. But it's kind of why I miss doing sets sometimes, because that's where the movie's being made, and that's where all the anecdotes come from of what's going on and what's happening. And those, when I watch films that I've worked on and I see certain scenes, you go back to that day of what was going on. And, you know, on 12 Monkeys, Brad Pitt was jumping up and down on the bed in this crazy scene, and his pants, he had pajamas on and they fell off. Do you know what I mean? So you go back to that when you watch the film and think, I don't know. It's just a good way to have good memories of stuff you worked on.
Okay, we've got time for a couple more, probably 1 or 2 more questions, as we've only got, the hour is almost up. So why did you always dress Hotch in ties and suits? He's Hotch.
Oh, I did an interview for that. I think the guy slept in his clothes. Do you know what I mean? Because he was their leader. And for him not to deviate, I felt was really important. And his character was pretty uptight anyway, do you know? So that just showed that he was always put together. I mean, he always had another shirt and tie in his drawer and in his to-go bag, and all of that. I mean, there was more than one that I did without a tie, but he was in total casual clothes. When we came back from season 8, so it must have been season 9, they were all stuck somewhere in one of those FBI cars, and he was very casual. He was casual a couple of times, and when he was dating Bellamy, he was casual then. When we saw them in their personal life, I wanted to try and present them in a different light than how we saw them at work, because I think that's sort of what we all do. When we go to work, we want to be a little more professional, and then our own time is our time. And it's like peeling an onion back. It's much more interesting when someone has different layers.
Yeah. Okay, someone has asked, well, whose personality do you think is most like their character?
Oh, that's a goodie. I would say Joe. You know?
Yeah.
Right to the point, knows what he wants. You know, and Maddie a little bit, because he does share a couple of the things of Reed. You know, Matthew's very smart. He's very quick, and, you know, all of that. I know he presents a very kooky side, and he's got that too. He's fun, but he has a little bit of a boy genius. God, I hope he doesn't use that against me.
Okay, I've got one final question. Can you describe each of the cast in one word?
Oh.
Or a word to describe each of them.
I want to know who said that. They're really putting me on the spot. Okay, So Joe, methodical. No, let me rephrase that. Joe, professional. Okay, so Paget. I don't know. I love Paget. She just makes me smile when I think about her. So smile. 3 would be AJ, sweetheart. 4 would be Goob. Okay, crazy boy wonder. Who's 5? Who's 5? Kirsten?
Yes.
Kirsten. I would think of very colorful, obviously. And if I go back to Mandy used to sing to me, so I always think of him as a singer. Who else was there? Hodge, erudite. Shamar, self-love. I know that's 2 words, but you know.
Okay, for Anspiegel's questions, I do plan on doing more of these. It's just finding people to take part. So if you guys have any suggestions, please have them on Twitter and Instagram so it can happen. That's the only way it's going to happen. So I hope to do more of these with more people. It's just finding people to do them with, as it's been really fun to actually do it. And thank you for joining me. It's been fab. And yeah, like I said, if you guys check the comment that is pinned, you can join the Facebook group that will help a Criminal Minds convention happen in Europe at some point in the hopeful future. So check that out, and I will link that, and I will link the CM costumes page as well for everyone to go follow and ask about the patches. And thank you for joining me.
All right. Thanks, you guys, very much for being there. I appreciate it. I hope I got your questions done. If not, you know, I don't know, maybe we need to do a Zoom party.
Ooh,
and that
we
way
can figure that out. Yes, we need to get on that. We'll discuss that. We'll get on that. Okay, thank you everyone, and I hope you all enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you all later.
All right.
Bye.
Tight.
Bye.